For North Island Powell River.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and I have to say that we get to hear this member speak a lot, and I guess we do our best to enjoy it. My question about this piece of legislation is one that I think is incredibly important. I've had a lot of constituents who represent organizations that work on behalf of the community of persons living with disabilities, and they talk about the many challenges that they face in terms of traveling. And when I saw that the Auditor General of Canada published a report in March of this year entitled Accessible Transport for Persons with Disabilities, it examined the accessibility of federal regulated transport services and found that of the 2.2 million persons with disabilities, and Madam Speaker, I think it's really important that we put in there, those are the ones that were willing to take that risk. There's a lot of people who choose not to travel simply because they are not treated in a way that is encouraging and inclusive. But of those 22 million people who used transport in 2019 and 2020, 63% faced significant barriers. And that concerns me. And so this bill has some steps in a direction that I think is somewhat positive, making sure that data is is available to the public. I think that does lead to more accountability, requiring service providers with the federal transport system to establish a process for dealing with accessibility complaints, because we saw in the report from the Auditor General that they actually felt very clearly that the Canadian Transport Agency had insufficient tools and enforcement staff to address all of these barriers. I'm just wondering if this member agrees with the NDP that we should see more inclusion of these organizations and people living with disabilities as we figure out these regulations moving forward.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. In Part 2 of the legislation, what you'll find is that there is enabling legislation to allow the Governor in Council to deal with the issue in which the member is actually referencing. We recognize, and that's one of the reasons why we've incorporated into the framework of the legislation to enable the Governor in Council to be able to put together regulations that would assist in dealing with the importance of accessibility with people with disabilities. It wasn't that long ago, in fact, that we had Air Canada making a formal apology for an incident where someone that was disabled literally had to drag themselves out of a situation, Madam Speaker, and it was appropriate for Air Canada to make the public apology, and hopefully there will be more attention being brought to that as it goes to committee. I suspect that we'll hear from different stakeholders, and one of those stakeholders, no doubt, will be from disability organizations, at least I would hope.